What if Naruto wasn't Uchiha Part 10? Let's go. Orochimaru and Naruto are in a fierce battle, with Orochimaru losing. With Hiruzen now having successfully taken care of the first and the second Hokage, now it's one Hokage and Naruto against only Orochimaru, along with some support from the Anbu outside. Orochimaru has absolutely no chance as he's overwhelmed very easily, and then he sinks into the ground and disappears. However, Naruto senses his chakra somewhere else, at the same place where Sasuke is lying. Sasuke, who's still exhausted from his actual fight in the Chunin exams, was resting and closed his eyes whilst laying on the ground, knowing that he's safe. And then Orochimaru appeared and was about to give him a curse mark, but then Itachi interfered, and Itachi threw 10 shuriken at Orochimaru's face. Right then, Naruto appeared as well, and without any conflict, Naruto and Itachi would be fighting side by side against Orochimaru. They knew that they had one common enemy, and they wouldn't have to talk to know that. They fought vigorously, but Naruto and Itachi, both with Mangekyo Sharingans, were completely overpowering the already exhausted Orochimaru. He tried his summoning jutsu once again, though Itachi quickly stopped it, and was then right after thrown into a genjutsu, a tsukuyomi to be precise. As the battle was stopped, Naruto asked Itachi once more, "Why did you do it? Why did you kill our family?" And Itachi came out with the truth. Now, obviously Naruto was not very old, so Itachi wasn't either. Therefore, Itachi still wasn't that accustomed to being a villain, and he still regretted killing his clan very much. Obviously he knew why he did it, but it still stung and would haunt him for the rest of his life. He knew that. And the reason is, in this story, he loved his family even more than he did in the original series, obviously with him loving Naruto alongside with the rest of his family, and having Shisui and Naruto, who were both lost to him afterwards due to either the massacre or, well, Shisui's early death, really scarred him, and now he couldn't hold it in any longer. He told Naruto why he had done it back then, hoping that he would get forgiveness, as both of them knew what kind of horrible things Danzo had done in his life, especially against the Uchiha, having a similar mentality as the second Hokage. And so, whilst it was very surprising, knowing that Danzo was the one that caused the Uchiha massacre wasn't as surprising as if it was anyone else, even if it was a quote-unquote villain. Danzo was a villain, and Naruto believed Itachi, as if he were to tell the lie and not actually explain the story of the massacre, well, Itachi would have probably just used a genjutsu and fled, or whatever, or honestly, killed them. But he saw it. He didn't have any bloodlust in him. He didn't want to fight. He was truly telling his story, and was crying along with it. He'd been holding in his emotions ever since the massacre 4 years ago. Actually a little more, almost 5 years ago. And now it was all coming up again. Now Sasuke was also slowly waking up, who had been put into sleep by Orochimaru as to not wake up whilst he was giving him the curse mark. But now Orochimaru woke up again, as there was a certain person that had helped him. It was Kabuto, who used a kunai and threw it at his hand, cutting it off, but also turning off the genjutsu due to the physical force from the outside. Now Orochimaru was up and running again, and quickly realized the situation. and then Kabuto joined and helped him, as he would try to help Orochimaru flee, but Orochimaru knew that would not help, as he still believed truly that our curse mark was to be put on Sasuke no matter what. So a battle began, with Sasuke quickly joining in, and now it was 3 Uchiha, 6 pairs of Mangekyo Sharingan, 2 of those having eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, being Naruto's. On the other side, there was Orochimaru and Kabuto, one extremely skilled medical ninja, which I'd say was on par with Sasuke, actually maybe a little weaker. And then Orochimaru, someone strong enough to rival the Hokage himself, given he was quite old at this point. But still, Orochimaru is a legendary Sannin, one of the strongest shinobi in the land. And then, after only 1 minute of them fighting, with the 3 Uchiha dominating, something bad happened. The Sand 4 arrived. Before, it was just Sasuke against Kabuto, which was somewhat even, with Sasuke pushing forward more, meaning he was winning, and Itachi and Naruto against Orochimaru, which they were pushing back a lot, and Orochimaru had to use all of his tricks. But now, the Sand 4 arrived, with one of them joining Kabuto in defeating Sasuke, well, not defeating, but going towards it, and the other 3 joining the fight with Orochimaru himself, fighting against the older 2 Uchiha. Well, okay, not older 2, but stronger 2, because, Naruto is the youngest, technically, by a few days. And now it was much, much more even, with Sasuke being pushed back, and always when Naruto or Itachi had an opening on Orochimaru and were about to do something, one of the Sand 4 would jump in and either block the attack or actually fight back as well. They were sacrificing their own body and were taking many, many blows, which could even lead to fatality after the battle. But for now, they were completely fighting for Orochimaru. And thus, that fight didn't really do anything. Nothing happened. Neither side pushed forward, though the Sand 4 were very quickly getting tired due to the many injuries. And then, something crazy happened. Naruto had been practicing a special power. Besides the Rasengan or Sage Mode, he had also been practicing the Susanoo, a power given to him by the Eye of Fugaku, and partially Shisui's eye as well, though it was mostly Fugaku's eye that now resided within Naruto. And then, a orange-reddish Susanoo appeared coming out of Naruto's body. It was a ribcage, not a fully formed Susanoo. It was a ribcage with an arm extended from it, with a sword in the hand. And even though it wasn't a fully formed Susanoo, it was extremely powerful. And with any blow against Naruto, it would absorb all the damage. Then Naruto combined that with Sage Mode. As he had been continuously over the battle, whenever there was even a split second of pause, he was collecting Sage Mode, Sage Energy, and would now have enough to use it, combining all of that with forming a Rasengan in both of his hands, now rushing towards Orochimaru. But what? It was a fake. That was merely a clone. The real Naruto was underneath, grabbed Orochimaru's feet and pulled him halfway underground so that he couldn't move. Only his arms and head was sticking out of the ground. As brutal as it seems, Naruto pushed a Rasengan into Orochimaru's face, but that wouldn't end him. And so Itachi used his eyes to make once again a very powerful genjutsu, a Tsukuyomi. But he knew this time there was no one that could make him stop, and the Tsukuyomi would go as long as Itachi wanted it to go. There was none of Orochimaru's allies still alive or near the battlefield that could lead him out of the Genjutsu. The battle was over. Naruto now quickly jumped to Sasuke's help, as Kabuto and one of the Sand Four was now defeated, and now all three Uchiha fought together against the remaining Sand Four, as all four retreated, along with Kabuto, not being able to take Orochimaru with them. Orochimaru was captured, and with special seals, his chakra was completely and utterly disabled, and he was kept in a Genjutsu as long as they knew they had him 100% secured. They put him in a bunker, underground, in a prison, not allowing his arms or legs to move, completely sealing his chakra and any chakra in the room with extremely tight security. And now they would wait to see what they would do with him. But there is no way in hell that he was getting out of there. There was also a lot of guards there to make sure that if any of his henchmen were to come for him, they'd be ready. And since they didn't want to inflict the death penalty, as that wasn't common in Konoha, they left him there for a long time. As now, there was peace in Konoha, and Itachi was, with some resistance, welcomed back to Konoha. And even though people didn't really like him for the first weeks and even months, slowly but surely they opened up to him. He seemed like a very nice boy. He wasn't too old, and he seemed very happy. Obviously, he was traumatized from his time as a villain, as well as having killed, well, most of the people he loved, his friends, family, and parents. But he became a shinobi alongside Sasuke and Naruto, as both of them were now Chunin, having shown incredible skill in both the Chunin exams as well as the Konoha Crush and fighting it off. And Naruto even got the rank of Jonin for his incredible bravery and strength shown in the battle, being able to defend the Hokage as well as himself and his two brothers from Orochimaru and his henchmen, who are deemed shinobi of a whole different class. So yeah, Sasuke got Chunin and Naruto got Jonin. And whilst Itachi technically had to start from the bottom, he did missions in a group with Naruto and Sasuke, and so he became a Chunin and a Jonin along with Sasuke very quickly. Now a time of peace returned to Konoha for almost 2 years, and then the Akatsuki struck back. But this would be no match for the three brothers, as they had now become incredibly powerful. And interestingly enough, they finally did it. They all switched eyes with each other, as they had confirmed that even though they weren't related, it would still be fine if they switched eyes, as they saw that, well, Naruto wasn't related with either Shisui or Fugaku, and he was completely fine after having, well, foreign eyes in him for 5 years. So all three of them exchanged eyes, as now all of them could use their Mangekyo abilities without any restraints. And they trained a lot, and the three became known as the most powerful trio in the entire world. The three alone did A+ and even S-ranked missions completely alone. Well, as a group of three, a trio. And each one of them could be compared to the strength of a Sannin. So, they fought the Akatsuki in similar events as we know of Naruto Shippuden. First, helping Gaara, and then one by one picking off the Akatsuki, and sadly having to let go of some of the tailed beasts and their Jinchuriki. But they fought off Deidara and actually killed him, killed Kakazu. They also killed Hidan, they killed Kisame, and finally Nagato offered himself up to save the people of Konoha. as Naruto never freaked out, as with those three brothers fighting together, Hinata would never be destroyed, similar to the way the village was destroyed. And so, they actually full-on prevented the Fourth Shinobi War and destroyed the Akatsuki, at last fighting Tobi as well as Black Zetsu. And then it was over. They'd completely finished off the Akatsuki, and then a true time of peace arrived to all nations, not just Konoha. So far as Naruto, Sasuke, and even Itachi all taking on students, even though they were still pretty young, especially Naruto and Sasuke. And each one of them had their Genin team, with them all being Jonin senseis. And in the future, they're all deemed as candidates for Hokage. And each one of the villagers loved all of them. Yes, even Itachi. He had proved himself in the last few years as a fighter and as a shinobi for the people. And all the confusion with him and the massacre had been cleared up, as well as Danzo and the root having completely dissipated, and Danzo eliminated for a true time of peace, and something like what happened during the Uchiha massacre to never happen again. I hope you enjoyed the series. Make sure to like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.